Sailing vessel Wilson on Samui 2019. This time around I flew in and got a ferry from Sutani Airport to Koh Samui and we arrived on the NATHON pier. Had a look around before I caught a shared minibus which dropped off people on the way to BOPHUT beach where I'd anchored my boat. This photograph shows you where BOPHUT beach is, and you walk down through the gate to the beach. And on the beach they're doing some new work on the Shades restaurant, and you can see my boat from the beach. I arrived to be told that my boat anchor had broken loose and they had to put it on a mooring. So I'm lucky to have had friends that were watching my boat. It wouldn't have dragged too far, but still it needed to be done. Other boats in the anchorage included a number of charter boats and two boats that were being worked on by a gentleman by the name of LLOYD, local Koh Samui marine mechanic. Does an excellent job at a good price and is very informative. In the evenings I'd have a bit of a walk along the beach area and look for some dinner. This is one of the piers just to the east of the yacht anchorage. You can see it in the distance. On this day the wind was up a little bit. And then dusk and the night markets on 3 nights a week. And this bloke made a tremendous souvlaki. Some old, not old vintage cars, but copies. Really enjoyed his souvlakis for 100 baht. So I went back to the boat as I normally did and enjoyed the night, relaxing and watching a video or two or just doing nothing. Spent a lot of time working on the boat with little problems. It's always the way. At that stage I was still alone. I used crew finder or find a crew to get people to come on board to help. Right up until about 3 AM in the morning. It's very, very noisy with the restaurants and discos. There's one sometimes can be annoying, but it's interesting to note that these jet skis that roar past the anchorage, a lot of them have a passenger on board, and would you believe the insurance doesn't carry the passenger, cover the passenger, it only covers the driver of the jet ski. And some of them come really, really close to the boats, and it can be quite, not frightening, but feels like it's dangerous. One of the many places that I ate at was Cindy's takeaway restaurant on the main street in BOPHUT, between Fisherman's Village and Mahem. And this lovely lady charged about 80 baht for a decent sized meal. And here's a few of the different ones. There's fried kway tao, and a chicken and noodle soup, and this one I've forgotten, it was a mixed soup, and this one was a pork soup, and chicken fried rice, of course, and I think this was a combination soup, or that one was a combination soup, and then chendo, a lovely sweet. And when the first person came on from Find a Crew, we took a day trip and sailed around the corner to Bang Rak Beach and had a lunch there, and went over to Koh Island, and then back to Bang Rak, and I think we spent the night in Bang Rak, and watched the aeroplanes fly in over the island and into Koh Samui International Airport. And fortunately they stop about 11 PM, so you can get a decent night's sleep. So then we sailed back to BOPHUT Beach. It was actually motor sailing because the wind wasn't there. It was still really enjoyable. And when we arrived back on the beach, we went in for dinner. And because the tide is such, you have to pull the dinghies up, otherwise you end up not losing them with the anchor out, but having to worry about them floating. This was off season, hardly any people about. Now, dinners on board turned out to be more expensive making them than actually buying them on the beach. There's a lot of different fruits. Mangosteen is my favourite. Very, very sweet and bittersweet. One of the takeaways that we brought back on the boat was a chicken fried rice, a really big one, and that costs 80 baht. Compared to making a meal for two, pretty much any meal for two was 300 baht. So it worked out much cheaper to have a meal and a drink on the beach. Every night a Chinese junk dinner cruise would slide past the boat, and it was quite enjoyable to watch the dusk, watch the sun set, and watch the boat, the Chinese junk, travel past. And of course after that boat went past, we had the normal noisy nightclub. During the next couple of weeks we hired motorbikes to go and get our food and parts and touring the island, and the motorbikes cost around 2,000 baht a week for where we were, but we later on found a place that was 1,250 baht, but it was too far to go. And when we spoke to the woman about it, she gave us a discount, so we had 7 days for 2,000 baht. And one of my favourite supermarkets is Central Festival, where you can get more English type foods. And I'd had an awning made in Pattaya, but I hadn't used it that much until it was we got to Samui, and yeah, it saved took away the sun in the mornings and took away the rain, the heavy dusk and dawn. Anywhere in it on a boat is just gorgeous, and I often create a background for my computer of these lovely sunsets and sunrises. And you can see that in the mornings especially, there's no wind or hardly any wind, and the sea is calm and flat, and it's a great time to get into the water and clean the hull, and that's a monster task. If you don't do it every week or so, it builds up and you've got a lot more work if you don't keep up to it. And always wear gloves. I've cut myself to pieces on a number of occasions without wearing gloves. The barnacles and crustaceans cut you to pieces. We went on a bit of a 2 or 3 day trip over to the national park and did some island hopping. Some of the beaches were nice, others weren't so great. The tourist industry has a real effect on dirty beaches. We did stop and wander around some of the islands, and unfortunately there was a lot of tourists on this particular day. You can see the tourist day tour boats backing into the beach, and people pile off them and sunbake and sleep and feed their face. And there's snorkeling and kayaking, and there's showers on the beach. So we returned to BOPHUT Beach, Samui, and began to prepare the boat and repair things that have broken, and did most of my lazy layback doing nothing type stuff. And this was produced by me, and this is the end of another exciting video.